just try. The only
I
thing,
just got to know.
if it doesn't work this time, what we could do is you can go onto the live and you just have to click invite, and each time one of you are talking, I can allow one on, and then we can, another one can go on, but that just means we can't. That just.
Are we live now? Because I got a notification.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're live now. So we might just want to give people some backstory as to what just happened because they missed all of that.
Okay. So I'll try to give the Cliff Notes version.
Should we introduce ourselves? Should we start from like the very beginning?
Sure. I'm Caitlan.
I'm Larissa from Nikki Addimandos Community Defense Committee.
And we were invited here by Emma and Amy to talk about our friend, Nikki Addimandos. I've known Nikki for over 30 years. She's been my very dear friend. And Nikki is a criminalized survivor, meaning that she defended her life against her abuser in a moment when he was actively trying to kill her. And by, I guess, the grace of God, honestly, what I think, she was able to be the one who survived when everything was stacked against her. I mean, we see the statistics on this type of thing all the time, and the vast majority of the time, it is the woman who ends up dead. And it might be, a news story in the local paper one day, and then that victim is forgotten. And our criminal justice system does not treat victims kindly who turn the tables on their abusers. And this is kind of the situation that happened with my good friend, Nikki. We both had a history of trauma together as children, sexual abuse. And that kind of set us up for being susceptible to other issues later in life with having intimate relationships with men. And Nikki started dating a guy who, by all accounts, seemed like a very good fit for her. They both had common interests. They both loved the gym and gymnastics. They both love kids. And things seemed like they were going good for a while. Her partner, Chris, was patient with her in understanding that because she had sexual trauma, she had some stuff to work through before they were ready to be intimate together. And these were all signs that Nikki took as like, he's the one, look at how great he's being and understanding. And then unfortunately, Nikki was sexually assaulted by someone else. And when that happened, something just changed in her partner and Chris. And I think he may have taken it as an affront to like his own ability to, I don't know. But basically after that, he started forcing her into sex, and it wasn't violent, but he was taking it. She was not giving permission. She was not giving consent. This was rape. It just was the type of rape where, to the untrained eye, Nikki didn't really understand that what was happening was rape, right? She was questioning herself about, what am I doing wrong that even when I say no, he doesn't stop? And she started seeing some therapists related to these sorts of issues, who began to explain to her that what she was experiencing was rape, and explaining to her what consent looks like. And after she had her children, things escalated greatly, to the point where he was harming her, leaving her burned, beaten, bruised. Some really sadistic and horrible things he was doing. And all the while, Nikki was trying to manage the situation because she didn't want him to have to be arrested and all this dirty laundry put out into the open, and intricate custody battles. And all she wanted was for the abuse to stop. And she also was intelligent in knowing that in the state that we live in, even if she had reported everything that was happening, there was a very high likelihood that there would be little to no consequences on his end because of the way that our laws are set up here. Oftentimes, abusers get arrested and they don't even go to jail. They don't even have to post bail. They're ROR. They're giving basically something akin to a traffic ticket. And that doesn't keep victims safe. And so she tried to manage the situation the best that she could. She was surviving in just the day to day. And at that point, she had been putting out feelers for people that she could kind of divulge this situation to, because she really did want it to be fixed. She wanted the abuse to stop so they could have this dream life that she had always desired, that we had always desired and talked about since we were kids, you know? And after reaching out for help from some different areas, she was slowly kind of getting her wits about her about exactly how to leave, because if you do leave and you're in that type of situation, you need a plan if you want to be successful and stay safe. And Nikki knew that, so she was forming a plan. And unexpectedly, someone had called CPS and it was reported. And at that point, Nikki kind of waited with bated breath to see what Chris's reaction would be, because, you know, I think in her mind, she kind of thought like, well, now that CPS is involved, maybe the abuse will stop because there's this agency, you know, like looking at our actions. But the night after CPS came in and visited, that night, he came home from work and there was just something horribly off that she could tell immediately. And through some of, you know, us on the committee, we've all educated ourselves about these types of situations, obviously. And it's in the literature that, you know, a victim is extremely attuned to their abuser's moods and changes in their personality and indicators, because they've had to be so hyper aware for those things in order to keep themselves alive. And there was just something very different that night, and he began this kind of psychological mind games with loading his gun in front of her, showing her diagrams of the brain and saying, if I shot you here, you would be dead. But if I shot you here, you would stay alive, but not be able to communicate anything to the outside world. Wouldn't that be convenient? Just really messing with her head. She went in and took a shower, and he came in there and said, I'd shoot you in here, but the sound would echo too much. And then after that, he assaulted her. And one of the kids stirred. She went in to soothe one of her children in the middle of the night. She came back out. He called her over to lay on his chest. She laid down. And she was trying to wait for him to fall asleep, for his breathing to get deep and even. And when she thought that had happened, she went to go get up. And unbeknownst to her, he had taken his gun and shoved it in between the couch cushions. So when she went to go get up, he pulled the gun out from in between the cushions, and it startled her so much that she went to jump up and accidentally kneed him in the balls. And he dropped the gun. She went down and grabbed it. And at that point, he basically just told her, like, give me the gun. I'm going to kill you and kill myself, and your kids will have no one. And she closed her eyes and lunged and squeezed the trigger. And she ended up hitting him in the head, and he was killed instantaneously. the aftermath from the fallout was overwhelming and insane, in that many people who have looked over this case have said Nikki has more evidence of her abuse than almost any cases that, you know, these experts were bringing this to have seen. And unfortunately, the Putnam County prosecutor was assigned, who kind of had almost a personal vendetta after being made to look inept in their job after a ruling against them regarding habeas corpus, and Nikki having to be released because they held her against her constitutional right. They didn't indict her on a murder charge for far too long. And when that happened, the prosecutor just went really hard on Nikki. But at first she played like that she was trying to be collaborative with Nikki's lawyer, the public defender, and trying to sell the line of like, if you let me talk to your witnesses, if you tell me everything that you have, well, maybe prosecution isn't the route to go. It'll probably help your client if you tell me everything you got. Maybe we don't have to go the route of prosecution. Which obviously in retrospect was just a ploy to be able to get a full and complete look at the case, that the defense that Nikki would have. I mean, we sat through trial and it was heartbreaking. The judge had thrown out a ton of evidence that shouldn't have been thrown out, that I honestly feel like the judge and the prosecutor victimized those jurors. Because they misled those jurors by excluding a ton of evidence into convicting a woman of murder that should have never been convicted. I almost feel bad for them, you know. And we've been fighting to reverse that decision, and we have won an appeal based on the fact that there is a law in New York State that says if you commit a crime and it's related to domestic violence or intimate partner violence, that you can be approved, approved for reduced sentencing. And so we won appeal a little under a year ago, and Nikki was resentenced. Originally, her original sentence was 19 years to life. And then on resentencing, it was knocked down to 7. But the heartbreaking part is that she's still locked up and her kids are still out here without their mom, who they need dearly. And it's not serving anyone to keep her away from her children at this point. This is a gross injustice of the system. Nikki is not unique. This happens all over our country. It happens disproportionately to people of color. And that is part of the reason also why we've been fighting so hard for change, is because we have been cultivating this platform so that we can try to make some real systemic change in how we handle this issue, because it is a travesty that a woman can be abused for years and years and years, have tons of evidence. Her abuser tries to kill her, and by the grace of God, she's able to survive. And then we want to lock her in a cell away from her children, and we want to call that justice. It's disturbing, to say the least. So a bunch of us have really kind of devoted our life to getting the word out there that this is happening, because many people just live their daily lives and are just unaware. And that's, you know, nothing against them. Like, most people wouldn't be aware. I wasn't aware of this until it was right in my lap. So I get it, but still we need to get the word out to change this. So thank you for having us, because this is what we've been working towards for years and years and years. And your guys' post that went viral really helped us in the beginning, for sure. And so thank you so much for amplifying our voices and Nikki's story. It's so important to us.
And I think, too, to update where we are right now in the case, we had just petitioned the governor for clemency for Nikki. So that's where we've been working on that for the past few months. And we had, we sent a petition to the governor that had thousands and thousands of signatures. We did a social media effort to get letters sent to the governor. We had hundreds of letters sent to the governor. Our legal team had told us it was, one of the biggest pushes for clemency they had ever seen. We had gotten the news, unfortunately, on Christmas Eve that not that she wasn't granted clemency, but just at this time they had granted others clemency and not Nikki. So right now what we're trying to do is keep the pressure on the governor, Governor Hochul of New York. We're trying to keep the pressure and let her know that we're not giving up. We're not stopping. Nikki has 2 years left on her sentence, and that's too long. We want her home now. People still call. We still get in our social media. People are writing letters every day. There have been, we did a phone call push. We want to keep the pressure on the governor and let her know that we're not just going to go away. We're not just going to let this go. If we fight until the day Nikki is home with us, we're going to do that. And Nikki should be home. Our legal team is still working on that at this time. And so that's what we focus on right now. And we hope to get her home, obviously, as soon as we can. And we'd like that to be before the 2 years are up. So that's what we're doing right now. That's what we're trying to hold on to hope that we can get her home before she has to finish her sentence.
So this has become, clearly a full-time job, hasn't it, almost, I'm guessing?
Yes.
Like you're committing your life, it's absolutely amazing what you're doing. It's incredible, the love that you can see it when you talk about her, the love that you're creating. She's so fortunate to have, you guys. It's powerful. It's a powerful movement that you're creating, and you can change lives with this, not just hers. So, what you're doing, it could be utterly life-changing with the whole justice system. So, it's quite educational for us to hear how your justice system works, in New York State, because, I think here it works a little bit differently and things may get heard a little bit better. But, how many of you guys are, you call it a committee, don't you? Like, how many of you guys, like, you're creating a movement here, though? Like, it's more than a committee. Like, this is powerful. Like, this is really powerful. She's very, very fortunate. And, I'm sure she's obviously very aware of what you guys are doing, and she just you must be keeping her going. And that in itself is just amazing. So how many of you guys are there, like, in the committee?
There's 15, right, Caitlan? Are we 15 now?
I thought we might have been 14, but it might be 15.
And is it out of curiosity, is it all women?
Yes.
Yep. There's 13.
Although
we're women and friends of people, so we have it's people who have known her entire life, people who have met her along this journey, people who have just recently discovered her story and were so compelled that they had to help. But we tell people, that's just what Nikki embodies. Those of us who have only gotten to know her through this process, Nikki is an incredible person. She is such a wonderful, loving, again, like I always tell people, she's one of the best mothers I've ever seen, and she's mothering from prison. So, she is a powerful person, and she is wonderful, and she's so full of love. And that is why, we are lucky to have this We Stand With Nikki community, but that was all from her. This is her love that she has put out into the universe that has manifested into us, the committee, and now the love that we give to others. And we just want to always, and we tell women, you're not alone. And we always say we do this for Nikki, but we do this so women know if it was you, we would do this for you. And if it was your sister, we would do this for her. And we want women to know that you are not alone, that, if you do speak up, you will have the support. There will be people who support. And we get so many messages daily on our social media of women.
Do you think people are worried about coming forward? Because look, Nikki obviously was convicted and sentenced to 19 years. It puts women off because of the amount of evidence that's needed to
Absolutely. We said that, and that was one of the big things that bothered us the most. And we kept saying to Hannah that if anything, she's silencing victims. She's showing them that if you come forward and if you have this evidence, and you will still, I mean, obviously the tone in which she spoke to Nikki and the things that she said about her, and she, went on national television and told her, it's not popular to say that someone who's been abused is lying. Well, the only one that lied in that trial was Hannah. Well, there was a few, but Hannah was, she was the one. And all she showed victims was that if you come forward and you tell the truth, you will be made a fool of. That's what Hannah showed them. But we are a group of women that have showed them, no, if you come forward, people will believe you. They will fight for you. They will not give up, and you will be believed. And I think that's what the appellate court did. The appellate court showed Nikki that they believed her, and that the court originally should have believed her, and that they were wrong. And I hope that the women who see Nikki's case aren't scared to come forward because of what they did in the first trial, but empowered by the appellate team believing her and knowing that she was telling the truth. And so I hope that victims see that, if they can, moving forward, and don't, hold on to what the judge and what the prosecutor had said during trial, which is horrible.
I mean, let's hope also that there's lessons learned from this as well, that, you've got to start listening to victims.
Yes.
Listening to women. It's, it's got to start believing them, and the victims are getting persecuted when they're coming out, getting called liars, and no wonder nobody ever comes out and nobody ever wants to speak up or report these things, because, they just basically get persecuted, don't they?
Yes.
So with the first trial, she was obviously clearly quite humiliated, wasn't she? And this is where, like what Emma was saying, that's where people are scared to come forward. And Larissa, you're right. I hope too, but I believe that your committee is powerful enough to get that message. So, when Nikki's home, because obviously she is coming home, when she's home, you're obviously not going to stop. Like, this is just going to get bigger, isn't it? And this is just going to keep going. And Nikki will obviously be such a massive part of it as well, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Yeah. It's when she's home, it's like a new beginning again, isn't it? For the whole meaning behind it.
Yes.
Nikki even spoke to that. She said that, a lot of people think that if I were to come home, that would be the end. But no, that's the beginning.
That's the beginning. That is the beginning. That's when everything's going to change, because she is going to bring all that energy in, and that is just going to keep this moving, and it's just going to get bigger and bigger, and that's when all the changes are going to come. And you guys, and Nikki, you're all going to be responsible for that. You're going to be saving so many people.
The more awareness we're creating over it as well, the more it's going to be out there, the bigger the movements, and then the more people, the more governments, the more everyone's just going to start having to pay attention and start listening to us. None of these things can, continue to go on, can they?
It's just all going to get louder. It's going to get louder, which is amazing.
With us all joining together and empowering each other, and us all sticking together, then we make this bigger.
Absolutely.
And I must say that, this community that has surrounded Nikki is extremely powerful, because we are more powerful together than any one of us could be individually. And, a lot of this story is dark, but there are still silver linings to be found if you look. And one of those is that we've been able to get this issue of criminalized survival out onto the national media stage. And we aren't just thinking about Nikki, but the thing is that if not Nikki, then who? Like, if Nikki doesn't meet the threshold of having enough evidence or being worthy of clemency, then who? And so at this point, we're really just pushing as hard as we can, respectfully, to Kathy Hochul, the governor here in New York State, to please give our friend commutation. Please reunite this family that has been through so much unnecessary trauma following the incident of the shooting. perpetuated by our own criminal justice system. I mean, that's why clemency and commutation is made, is to be able to rectify injustices in the system. And there's no more clear-cut case than this situation. And, you know, Larissa spoke before about that Governor Hochul announced some clemency on Christmas Eve. And I must just say that on Christmas Eve, our governor only let one person out of jail. One. It's horrible. That's horrible. There are many people, there are many survivors, there are many women, there are many men, people, just a lot of people that are worthy of being able to come home, who have proven that they have done things differently in order to be reintegrated. And we need some, you know, good faith showing from the governor that she intends to stand behind her words, because she said many times that she stands with survivors.
Yes, that was
and
one
I'm
of
sorry,
the
but
platforms she was elected on. And we want her now to show that she meant what she said. You know, this is her opportunity to show that she supports victims and survivors. So we kind of want her to make good on what she had said when she was elected.
So what's the next active, thing that you're putting in place? Like, what's the next step?
I think what's next for us we are at this point, we're waiting to hear from our attorneys to see what we can actively do next. I know, again, our last direction was just to keep the pressure on the governor, which is what we're trying to do. Just again, so that she knows that we're not going anywhere. We're going to be here. And then just waiting for them for our next direction. And, if we can do something else, if there's something else that, a way that we can be helpful, if that means we just are waiting on further direction from them as to where we go from here. Other than, again, just constantly letting her know that we're not letting this go. So,
yeah.
We have a petition that's open on our website, westandwithnikki.com, that you can sign, that we're still collecting signatures on. Also on our social media at We Stand With Nikki on Facebook and Instagram, we periodically will organize and say, like, all right, Purple community, on Wednesday, we're all gonna call the governor, or on Friday, we're all gonna email her.
Yeah.
So if you're watching this and you're interested in helping, join our page, and you'll be kept current with updates on what the thing is that we're doing currently to still try to keep pressure on the governor to take action.
I will pop your page links and stuff into the comments. Also, obviously, we've not been able to read anybody's comments or anything. We've had to do this through Zoom. So we'll pop into the comments part now. So, we'll catch up with you all. If there's any questions you'd like to ask anyone, please feel free to comment it below, and we'll pop on in a minute. Has anyone else got anything they would like to add? Oh, the petition, we'll put the link for that in the comments also.
No, I think, again, we just want to thank you for your support. Like Caitlan had originally said, you guys are one of the groups, and again, you helped one of our posts to go viral. So your dedication to this, and even from where you guys are, do you know what I mean? Like, this has become such a global movement, and it's amazing. And again, showing women from all over we're not just showing them here in New York, we're showing them all over the world that, I think that's really important with these pages. Like, the support is everywhere, no matter where you are. We stand with you. We believe you. We support you. So thank you for being that platform, and thank you for being a safe place for these people to go and know that they have support. I think it's really amazing.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your support. Well, perhaps should I meet you over in the comments, and we can send Amy, have you got anything you want to say? Sorry.
No, I'm good. I'm just you can just feel the energy from you both. Do you know what I mean? I think that's really important, that that what you say, you can feel that you mean it. You can see that there's going to be changes, and you know, you're just doing an incredible thing. So it's so important that you keep doing what you're doing, and just, you know, be as passionate about it as you were at the start, and just keep going with it. And I just look forward to when you're all back together again, and you got your friend back, and her children have got their mum back. You know, what you're doing is incredible. I'm absolutely honoured to be able to come and sit here and talk to you. I could listen to you both absolutely all day, because I'm empowered by powerful women, and I love a movement, I love change, and that's everything that you represent. So it's absolutely amazing. So thank you for having me. And obviously Emma has got an amazing community here. You know, she's created such an amazing community for people to have a safe place, and I know that you're going to make massive changes. So
We all are.
just keep doing what you're doing
together.
Yeah.
And if you want to find more information about Nikki's story specifically, to get into the real intricacies, because there are a lot of layers here that we could not cover if we stayed on the Zoom for 6 hours straight. You can listen at Believe Her, the podcast made by the amazing investigative journalist Justine Vanderloon. There's also a recent podcast, double episode that came out on the Minds of Madness podcast. That's our newest media related engagement that we've had. And you did touch on something, Amy, that I gotta say something. We do have a wonderful community of women around us. And I must say though, personally, I really want to see more men join in our fight and stand with us as allies. It's something that I think that once we stand united, we will be able to make change far quickly and more effectively if we're on the same page. So if you're a woman watching this, maybe just, you know, nudge your husband one day and
I think
try to casually insert it into conversation.
I think having like a man on the firm as such, I think that creates that little bit of an impact, doesn't it? You know, with what you're representing. So yeah, I totally hear where you're coming from.
It just comes back to united, we are way stronger than divided. And this is not just a women's issue. This is an everyone issue, because when we lock up these survivors, their families do that time with them. So
yeah, absolutely. No.
Right, so I'll end it here, girls, and then I'll meet you over in the comments, and we'll have a little chat over there.
Lovely to meet you both.
Lovely to meet you. Thank you guys again.
So nice talking with you.
Thank you. Speak to you.
The recording has stopped.
Okay.
I recorded that. So.